the presenter from this morning, is here with us, and we gathered all the questions from the groups, and we'd like to ask those questions now. So I'd like to say that there's been plenty of questions, even in the last minute. So we tried to gather them, try to gather them in a way that the questions are hard enough to not to be answered. No, that's only a joke.
Igen, tehát hogy
So,
az első kérdés az lenne, hogy
so the first question is, what did the speaker mean at the start of the presentation under the timelessness lived in time? So this was about the changes, the spiritual changes in one's life. So again, the timelessness lived in time.
Spirituális lény.
Only man is a spiritual being and is capable to experience in life experiences where we feel that it is above earthly dimension. That's why I said timelessness in time. I try to formulate it like this. I could say an example, for example, is somebody, when birth takes place or death, there's a very extreme experiences, or for example, some important suffering. We are capable to experience in time this timelessness. It's really difficult to express this. It's some kind of a transcendent experience. I hope this answers this question.
Thank you very much for the answer. The next question is, it's about the values, the family, the family images, like everything that we bring from our families. How can we properly how can we properly distribute that value to others who experience something completely different? So to those people who are influenced heavily by all those inappropriate feelings or examples. So how can we help those people who see something different?
I think all of us were born into a family, except those who are cared for in welfare institutions, but generally the big majority is born into a family. And today it's very fashionable to put the emphasis on the negative experiences. And they say, my parents were terrible and I have horrible patterns from my dad, from my mother. They will really stress the negative aspects and not show nothing positive in that. And it's very important to look in a little bit more broader way to their own family. There is no family where there is nothing good or positive or that could be a value. But actually, really, there are persons that really cannot show anything positive or very much positive things from their family. There are kids whose parents and ancestors really very negative patterns, gave them very negative patterns. we have a case, for example, where a mother raised their children alone, and she suffered from a very severe disease and had no resources at all. And but still, she got resources. Their children got resources from many other things. From it can be from films or from literature or from wherever. If I don't have any own resources, I can find them elsewhere.
Köszönjük szépen.
Thank you again.
Egy másik nagy csoport,
It's another big
hogy
group of questions.
van-e valamilyen
Is there
segítség, online etika, hogyan
is there sort
tudjuk
of
jól kontrollálni az
help,
online
something like an
világot, talán így
online
lehetne
ethics,
feltenni ezt a
how to
kérdést.
control the online world?
Hogyan lehet a jelenbe hívni
How
a
can we-
fiatalokat,
How can we
akik
bring
online világban
the
élnek?
young people into the presence of the real world? Those people
Vagy
who
az,
live in
hogy
the online
még
world.
van egy, vagy még mondanék ehhez,
So there's a bit more to this.
hogy mi keresztények úgy elszigetelődhetünk az értékeinkkel, és hogy egyre nehezebb hasonló
risk to
értékeket
isolate
valókkal
ourselves with our
megismerkedni,
values.
hogy
And but in fact there are other values out there.
Online world, in the online world, there are wonderful things, great values, great life-giving values. For example, during the pandemic, with my husband, we were watching a wonderful series of speeches, and if there wasn't the pandemic, we would never have watched this. There are very good things in the online space, and I think it is important to call the young people to find the valuable things online, the net. The other thing is, I think there's no control. We have no control over the internet world. It's invading us. For the children, that is very, very dangerous because they get into things they really shouldn't see. That's the reality. I don't really, I'm not very much into this. Parents already can block certain things on the net for the children, control things, but I think that is really a trap, one of the most important traps nowadays. And it would be really very important to select what channel I will certainly not open and where can I find values. Those are very conscious choices. Yeah.
Köszönjük szépen. Ehhez kapcsolódik
Thanks
a
again.
másik kérdés, hogy
So the next question is
említetted
related
a
to this.
érzelmi
mentioned
intelligenciát,
Emotional
hogy
intelligence,
a fiatalok
that young people,
jobban fejlett, az értelmi intelligenciájuk
That-
sokkal fejlettebb,
that
mint az
the young
érzelmi
adults' intelligence is much
intelligenciájuk.
higher than their emotional intelligence.
Hogyan tudjuk segíteni őket?
How can we
Mit
help
kezdjünk
them?
ezzel a jelenséggel? Mi a
What should we
véleményed
do
erről?
about this scenario?
Hát ez egyébként most eléggé el is harapódzott, csak nem tudom, hogy minden helyen jól közvetítik ezt, vagy jól tudnak el.
I'm not sure that everywhere we know about it, but there's a lot of topics on self knowledge that you can easily find nowadays. All kinds of tools for personality growth, all kinds of groups and meetings. This is all very useful for this kind of self-development. I think it is important to encourage the young to go look for these values. They are getting that enable them to get informations like it's good to live and it's good to live in a good marriage, have a nice life, with friends and with children. That it would be important to talk about these kind of topics with the young because they are interested in that. They like to discuss and to reflect on these things. Create platforms for this kind of exchange, and to be as much as possible open. Don't reduce things to too rigid opinions or prejudices. If we can be open, and usually the young and any person is open and curious on the questions of life. Most of the people are searching only on the net. The negative voices are very, very loud and can really put them into trouble.
Én igazából egy domonkos rendnek vagyok, világi rendnek vagyok.
I am a member of the Dominican lay order, lay section, and we always say that the importance is to find the common points, what we do agree on, and from there we can start to discuss things.
Hát igen, nagyon fontos az, hogy tudjunk egymással beszélgetni, különböző generációk is, és hogy
between each other, different generations, that they can talk about common values.
Igen. Most a következő kérdésünk az a mi közösségünkről szól, a szociális testvérek társaságáról. Egy ilyen kérdést tettek fel a testvérek.
And the sisters asked question.
Ugye a mi közösségünkben nagy érték a családiasság,
tehát in our community,
úgy
family values
közösségünkre, mint egy családra.
is a huge value, so we do look in our community as a big family. What do you think,
mint családterapeuta,
as a family
segítene az általa ismert eszközökből nekünk, hogy előre lépjünk a jobb közösségi élet felé. Tehát milyen eszközök
tools that you use and you are aware of, which one would you recommend for us?
Azzal, hogy elfogadjuk a törékenységünket,
to use, like accepting our vulnerability,
accepting our... És úgy látjuk, most ez a hozzátérve ez a kérdéshez, hogy ha mi jobban éljük ezt meg, akkor jobban tudunk segíteni másoknak is.
So if we were to live more according to this mind, or according to this mindset, then we would be able to help others more.
I think every community is a community and a system, as we say in our working field, with the same symptoms, with the same functioning. And even more, if in a community there are the different ages are represented, that really resembles to a family. I think what concerns the different communities, and that is not a negative critic and not a prejudice, but it's very difficult to be a consecrated person. It's often difficult to be a family mother too, because we take on a role, and it becomes ever more just a role and not myself. Every person is so rich and has so much individual values and characteristics. If these characteristics and the own character can come out then if it is truthful self-knowledge, as Saint Irenaeus says, as we come ever closer to ourselves, then we can really serve. And if we only say we are vulnerable, then we haven't advanced yet. It's easy to know my vulnerabilities. I know my own vulnerabilities and I can look at them. If I can change them. If I can't, then I have to live with it. But then the relationships are much clearer, much purer, and then we can talk to each other in confidence. And if there's confidence, then people can open up and grow. I hope that was clear enough.
Igen, azt gondolom, hogy tényleg mennyire fontos a bizalom.
Yes, I think it is extremely important to have that sort of
a következő kérdés az
confidence within each other
külföldi
in order to open
családalapításról
up. So the
szólna,
next question is about
hogy a globalizmus lehetőségében a külföldi családalapítás,
families
az oda
abroad.
letelepedés
So
hogyan hat a
in
családi
the light of
mintára,
globalism,
a
how does
begyökereződésre, mi a
a
véleményed
new family
erről?
life abroad,
Sérülékenyebbeké válunk, sérülékenyebbek ezek a családok,
so our families who
hogyan hat ez a szülőkre,
live their
gyerekekre,
family
az
life
idegenben
abroad,
lét?
are they
De
more
mit gondolsz
more
erről?
vulnerable, or how does it affect the children?
Igen.
So it's about when
Igen.
someone moves
Ott
abroad,
alapít
so the whole
családot,
family
ott
moves
nő fel a
abroad and they
családja.
start a family life abroad. How does it affect children?
That is a big probation, difficulty, and there is mourning in it because we leave the country we were born in. I think that is very difficult. It's a new start, and integrating is a very serious work. It can be really a burden. For the children, maybe it's easier because they already were born into this. But if it's very difficult, if the children are already older and they leave their country, they have to rebuild friendships. The parents have to build up some background for themselves. It's mourning and building up something that is really very difficult. If we do that consciously, we talk with the children on that, how difficult it was to leave, how good were things back home, why we do this. If we can openly communicate on that with the children, we can really name the pains that come from this situation. Then when everybody can speak about what is going on in him in that situation, then this is happy. Many families that came from Transylvania were facing a lot of problems on this because of this, and the next generation will be very much hurt if we didn't mourn our past. New generations are really lost if we don't do this work, if we don't talk about these things, and then it is possible to work that out.
Hát igen, hogy az erdélyi családoknál
Yes,
talán
families from
azt gondolná az ember, hogy
Pennsylvania,
kevesebb
one
a
would think that
nehézség
might
az új kultúrába
need
való
as-
begyökerezés,
might not need to have as much
begyökereződés
difficulties in order to get rooted into the new culture.
terén, igen, köszönöm, mint amikor új nyelv, egészen új kultúra,
Like for others who need to learn
Az
a
új
completely new culture, new language,
társadalom, amiben próbál a család
society
beilleszkedni. Úgyhogy
into which the family
valóban
tries
egy
to
kemény
get rooted.
munka.
That is a really difficult job. It's a hard job.
Következő
So the
kérdésünk,
next question,
hogy bár az előadásod végén érintetted, hogy,
you already touched on this at the very end of your presentation,
hogy a korunk nehézségeiről,
that the difficulties of our time,
meg ehhez kapcsolódóan az is, hogy a fiataloknak
the
az
things
a nehézsége,
and in
hogy
relation to that,
elköteleződjenek, hogy
the
döntéseket
difficulty in getting
hozzanak.
committed
Ez
and
is a
making decisions of
korunkban
young adults,
nagyon
that's also
erősen jelen van.
very strongly present in our time.
Hogy látod?
So how do you see that?
I spoke about this, yes. I think there is a decadency in the world amongst the young. They have difficulties committing into a next life phase, maybe because the world is really it became so fast, and because it's difficult to see family in that different world. And sure enough, their imagination of the future is very unsure, and they don't know where to go, how to work, and how does fit into all of this a family too. Many of them don't even imagine founding a family or accept children. A lot of times I don't even like to say how many children I have and how many grandchildren, because then the reaction is, well, that's not normal. We know that how much work and attention and energy it means to found a family and to keep up a family, and many young people are scared about that. There's a lot of negative patterns, and I could speak a lot about this. There's this self-centeredness, the desire for money and career. They want to really have a good foundation, have everything before starting a family, but then they're already 50 years old, more or less. And it's quite relative what are the necessary foundation. There is the reality, and then there is they blow up things. They think of things that would be too important.
Köszönjük szépen. Lehet, hogy kapcsolódik ez a következő kérdéshez, hogy
so the following question is, again, it might be related to
amikor
this.
megjelenik valaki azzal a kérdéssel, amit említettél, hogy hogyan éljek, nyilván ez nem lehet konkrétan megmondani.
Of course, one cannot
de mit lehet tenni az
put this in
illető
concrete terms. I
megsegítésére?
can't answer that question.
Valakiben
But
felvetődik.
what can we help in order? What can we do in order to help
Answering to this question.
Yes.
I think there are. I usually start from concrete situations. We used to ask, what did you experience in your life up until now? Where are your strengths and your resources? What was important for you? That's where we start. And from there, we can see little by little a lot of things that touch that person or are more important to him. We put a lot of questions about the family and try to understand why does he hate his father or his mother? How does a person think about family? And those might be hindrances where he can't step over things. We have really to look on where are the blockages. it's like really trying to search and put into light a lot of things. Even if, for example, if the generation before there was a mourning and that didn't take place, a child that they lost and they were not capable to mourn it, all this has an effect on the next generation. There can be a lot of reasons for that lack of scopes, meanings.
Aztán van itt egy ilyen kérdés, hogy mitől házasság a házasság?
And there's a question like that.
Mitől család a család?
What makes a marriage a marriage?
Mit lehet mondani azoknak, akik azt gondolják, hogy a család attól család, hogy szeretik egymást?
Who think that a family is a family because they love each other?
Zárójelben például gender.
For example, gender.
In these topics, I try to stay at the original concrete topic. That is, gender is the next topic. I think it is good if in the couple there's love, but it's not just some kind of love, but it's commitment. They want to live their lives, their futures together. That is a choice. And sometimes we are sick and tired of our husband or of our wives, but then next day we talk about it and we work it out and we can go on peacefully. That is a choice, and that is what commitment is about. The non-marital relationships today are very fashionable. They don't get married, they just live together. But in death, that is a question mark on the future. We don't know what the future will bring, and so we leave that open. It's like a choice that is not a choice. We don't say yes and we don't say no. We are just something. What is a family? Is a family. In the relationship between a married couple and their children, it is a conscious commitment, and everyone in its own role, in its own tasks, is present and does what will serve growth. That is the family, its responsibility. Responsibility for one or more persons that need me.
Erről nekem eszembe jut a megboldogult kerekvesatyának gondolata, hogy a házasságban, családban élés az a legnehezebb szerzet.
That to live in a family is about the hardest of all. Yeah, that's what I think many times as well.
És kitartani benne mekkora érték.
And to continue in this and to persevere in that.
But independent from this, I think every life state is difficult. One for one reason and the other for the other reason. A consecrated person struggles with some things, and the married person with other things. I don't think one is easier than the other. I think that is one platform. In the family, the things will be very concrete and touch very very concretely, very closely. When the adolescent child doesn't come home at night, and if there's sickness and I have to be there and care for the sick person. There are situations that are very concrete. And I can't tell my husband that I don't want to live with you anymore because you're behaving so strangely. I need to stay there and I have to solve whatever problems are coming. A commitment is a commitment. But I don't think that a consecrated person doesn't live with more or less positive or negative situations. The commitment is the same. He has to stay in what he has decided. And that is a lot of times not easy for whatever life state we are in.
Hát igen.
Yes, it's like that.
Következő kérdés talán kapcsolódik is ehhez, hogy említetted az előadásodban, hogy milyen nehéz az, hogy hiányoznak a hiteles emberek.
How difficult it is that there are no authentic people around.
So the question arises,
what does it mean to be an authentic Christian to begin with?
Talán ehhez kapcsolódik az is, hogy
and might be related to that children already lost their trust into adults, and where does it happen? So where did they lose the trust, and how can we regain the trust?
I think authentic life is when I am myself. I say the same thing as what I live, and I think that is very, very important for children and for young people. That is something that we really reinforce them and help them construct. When they feel that I'm not smiling outwards and inwards, I kill. But I do the same thing as I express. Then he also will be able to express what is inside. I think authenticity is this it's the same inside and outside. You can notice that on people when they are authentic. I think it's really, really very important. There's a lot of disillusions. I see the last 2 years things happened around us or in this city or in this country. Young people had patterns, values, and there were authentic people around them. And from one minute to the other, they left or left a relationship or started another relationship, and that is very much destroying. It's not a judgment, and I don't want to judge, but it's touching the young people in a very painful way. They're not able to think these things through, say that there's 100 possible reasons for it. We don't know why that happened. They cannot think those things through yet. We parents, how can we be authentic? It's not easy because adolescent children, usually there's no way that we can be authentic parents for them. But they will search elsewhere, and I was always very happy when they found persons that had good patterns for them. But when they grow up, and then we see that a lot of love is in our lives. Sure enough, we did a lot of mistakes, but not everything was a mistake.
És mit gondolsz arról, hogy családalapítás során, meg családban vállal gyerekekről?
About
Hogy mekkora családot vállaljon egy család, vagy ez hogy volt
what do you
ez
think about
nálatok?
children
Nem tudom, hogy
in a family?
elhangzott ez,
So
tudom, hogy
should
nem
be
szeretett,
decided
hogy
how many
elmondjuk, hogy
children
hány
a
gyereked
family
van.
takes upon
Nem
himself,
tudom,
or
elhangzott-e, azt már
so
mindenki tudja,
did
hogy
you
legalább
actually
6.
speak about that? Did you say that we want at least 6 children?
De tudom, hogy 9 van.
Because I know that you have 9, but
I don't like to tell this because there are people for whom one is far enough, and there are others that have 3 children and that is perfectly enough, and others have 9 children and that is fine. There's no rule on this, and it's not important who has how many children. I always say that at the 4th child, that's where we should start, because then a lot of things already meant into routine and we can find solutions a lot easier. But that doesn't work that way. We have to start from the 1st. I think it's very, very good to have a lot of children, but there's no expectation in this. I don't think people have to have 9 children. My children immediately say, "Mom, I won't have 9 children," and I think that is very good. They have to have their own choice. They have to. It's again an authenticity question. If I am myself, then I will feel I will have 3 or 5 or 7 children. It's very different for every single person, and it's very important not to enter into a competition on that topic.
Meg ahogy a Zsoltárban van, Isten ajándéka a gyermek.
as it said in the Psalms, it is a gift of God. Child is a gift of God.
When the twins were born, we opened the Bible at the Psalm 127. When the Lord doesn't construct the house, then the others tire for nothing, in vain. A lot of children is really a gift of God, and we will not be humiliated. That was a big hope for us at that point.
Zsuzsám, engedjél meg még egy kérdést, bár most már lejárt az időnk.
If you were to allow me one more question, although our time is already up,
kérdés, és gondoltam, ezt még felteszem.
I thought I should
Hogyan
pose that question.
segítsünk nem házasoknak, akik szeretnének
How should we
házasságot
help
kötni,
non-married people
de
who
nem
would like
sikerül,
to
elfolyik
get
az
married,
életük.
but they just
Találkoztál már
don't
ilyen
get to it. Life seems to flow out of their hands.
helyzetekkel?
Have you met these kind of people?
Who would like to get married will get married.
Ebben biztos vagy?
Are you certain in that?
Yes, I am. You can't stop somebody who has who from inside chooses something. There's nothing that can stop.
De nem talál magának párt.
What if the person doesn't find a partner, doesn't find
Well, yes, that's difficult if to get married if you don't find a partner. That is a difficult question of our times. They can't meet with with other people, with people of similarly thinking and opinions. There is this internet couple searching programs and everything, but that is really difficult. Yes, they don't really know each other in the same way as if they had met in a community or in a get-together. It would be good that to promote that the young could be able to meet in as much forms as possible. That really would help.
Igen, hát nagyon szépen köszönjük, hogy a család téma, ez
thank you very
kimeríthetetlen,
much.
hogy
The topic on families is
még,
infinite.
még igazán folytathatnánk.
we could
De
continue with
megköszönjük,
this,
Zsuzsa,
but
hogy eljöttél
for now,
közénk,
we'd
és
like to
hogy
thank you and
megosztottad a
that you shared your
tapasztalataidat, meg
experience with us.
saját magadat. Úgyhogy
And that you
köszönjük
also shared
szépen.
yourself, you
Isten
gave
áldjon
yourself to
meg,
us.
és egész
So
családodat.
thank you very much, and God bless you and your entire family.
Thank you very much.